Greetings, neurosurgeons, renegades, and sisters. If you could stop staring at the magnificence of my head for just a moment, this is episode 30. I can't believe I'm saying that. Of the Dudley Simpson is Doctor Who project. I'm actually grateful for the Time Lords interceding in my life. One in particular. This episode's music comes from another season 13 favorite, the Brain of Morbius. It comes from part 4, the final part, so let me fill you in. The Doctor and Sarah land on the planet Karn, and the Doctor is certain the Time Lords are behind this unplanned landing, although we are talking about the TARDIS. Soon, the Doctor is faced with two enemies. First, the duplicitous neurosurgeon Solon, whose life's work may finally be completed. Solon is a follower of the cult of Morbius, who was an evil, renegade Time Lord tried and executed by his people. Morbius lives on, however, only as a brain, and kept alive by Solon in hopes that he can one day find a head suitable to install it and give Morbius new life. When the Doctor lands on his doorstep, that day arrives. Before the surgery can take place, the Doctor is teleported to the shrine of the Sisterhood of Karn, a sect living in fear of alien intruders they believe want to steal their elixir of life, the secret to their immortality. The Time Lords were once their allies, and the Sisterhood shared the elixir with them in extreme need, but their leader, Marin, knows the elixir has stopped forming and believes the Doctor is there to steal it. By the end, Solon is forced to use a contingency plan, installing Morbius into a brain case attached to a repulsive beast of a body. This makes Morbius unpredictable, even wild, a threat to everyone, including Solon. Eventually, the Sisterhood are convinced that the threat of Morbius is real, and that they must take action. Mara knows she is too old to do so, so her right hand, Ohika, steps up to lead the sisters en masse against him. They find the beast Morbius and drive him over a cliff to his death. Dudley Simpson wrote this music to underscore their advance and attack. Charge of the Sisterhood. The Brain of Morbius is a well-remembered take on the Frankenstein story, but writer Terrence Dicks's script became a bit of a Frankenstein itself, undergoing massive rewrites by script editor Robert Holmes and producer Philip Hinchcliffe. It became the second story of season 13, credited to a pseudonym. Simpson's orchestration is not large, but a rich one, featuring cello, horns, organ, electric piano, mallet percussion, and percussion. The charge comes from 3 scenes in part 4. First, when the sisters leave their shrine, carrying torches, and cross the surface of Karn towards Solon's habitation. Second, the sisters enter the abode and confront Morbius, using their torches to drive the wild beast outside. In the third and final scene, Morbius is forced onto a high rock ledge surrounded by the sisters. He loses his footing and tumbles over the edge, plummeting to his death. For once, the analysis of this piece is quite straightforward. Each of the 4 phrases begins identically, and apart from the extension heard in the Coda, all are an unusual 5 measures long. Even-numbered lengths are far more common. The melody is played by muted horns, giving the instrument a high-pitched nasal overtone. To imitate this, I play the melody in both hands 3 octaves apart, the right hand at the very top of the piano. This requires some sudden leaps by the performer, but the timbre was exactly what I wanted. The melody of the first 3 phrases is all in one key, C Phrygian, a mode resembling the minor scale, but with the moody alteration of the lowered 2nd degree. We've heard this scale several times before in past pieces. In addition, the organ has a harmonized melody in support. All are quartal chords, tritone on the bottom, perfect fourth on the top, moving in parallel. They too suggest the C Phrygian mode, but the parallelism creates a polytonal coloration. In fact, this harmonic shape is a motif of the Sisterhood throughout the story. Because of my muted horns orchestration and the organ harmony, it's necessary on several occasions for the right hand to reach down and keep the left hand's melody note depressed as the harmony moves away. At the end of these phrases, the organ ends with a twirling figure of 2 quartal chords. Beneath, another muted horn growls out bass notes. The first scene contains a 5-bar phrase, but also includes a repetition of the first 2 measures at the end to complete the scene. I excluded them in my arrangement because, of course, the next scene restarts that same phrase. The music of the second scene contains the 2 middle 5-bar phrases. After the first 2 measures, the organ chords get a brief solo decorated by crescendo muted horns. I represent this crescendo by right hand octaves beating out 8th notes. The 5th measure of the phrase concludes again with the twirling figure. The next phrase is nearly identical to the first, except the growling horn bass notes are more prominent at the end. Both hands require instant leaps up because of the reorchestrated organ chords that accommodate the bass, and this will shortly be the norm. The third scene, Morbius's death scene, features the most dramatic variations. After 1 measure, the organ chords rise up to F rather than back down to C, as in earlier phrases. The melody is drastically different, much more chromatic in nature. As the organ melody resumes, it continues rising to B flat, as if it was transposed to F Phrygian. Again, the melody, very chromatic. This last melodic figure was very, very difficult to transcribe because Morbius is loudly screeching through the whole of it. It was a miracle that I could hear little echoes of the notes played, and I think I got it right despite his obstruction. The thrust of the coda section hears the organ chords rising further, with the muted horns adding notes to bookend the harmony. The climactic blast resembles a jazzy F13 sharp 11 chord. Then, the muted horn in the bass answers with an angry falling figure in minor thirds, which I execute in octaves. In the program at this point, the music backs off a little bit and crescendos again for Morbius's fall, which hasn't happened yet. However, most of this music is obscured by his death scream. I therefore found this to be a bit of an anticlimax, so for the second piece in a row, I resorted to a little composition. Very little, as it happens. Merely a firm, dramatic ending to the charge, made from the organ chords of the Sisterhood motif. You were expecting more? I can keep talking. Thank you very, very much for watching episode 30 of the Dudley Simpson is Doctor Who project. Next time, we head into season 14 and movement 3 of the Doctor's theme. Subscribe, like, share, and comment. See you then.